Well, hello again. It's number 5, Flip Cup, ArtistRi by Rita. So glad you could join me today. It's exciting for me, even if no one's watching it yet. I am going to walk you through the whole process. I have a 24 by 36 inch artist canvas, and right now I have wet the back of it, and I am blow drying it so that it is taut. If it's not nice and tight and makes that nice drum sound, it may sag in the middle and have your paint pool there. And that's sometimes an issue with the bigger canvases, and sometimes you need to put some cardboard behind there just to give them a little bit more support. Here I am taping the bottom so that it's a nice clean edge, but honestly, I don't always do that. It's just the clean edge is great, but you don't ever see it. And making art is messy, and sometimes I like the way it looks in the back because it was handmade. So, two schools of thought, and I go back and forth sometimes. And it's an extra work, and sometimes I just want to dig in and start doing my art. You have to cut off the edges. It doesn't take that long, but you do have to burnish the edges. So I'm getting a popsicle stick and I'm burnishing the edges down, because if you don't, it's going to seep through anyways. So all this effort is for naught if you don't. And I've noticed some people even will tape the cross braces there. Here I have some jumbo thumbtacks. I got them on Amazon, and I am going to hammer them in. Once again, I go back and forth on this. Sometimes I just use cups because these extra steps just take more time. And some people love the clean lines, but I don't know. So I've sped this up a bit, or else if that was in real time, my fingers would not be here. And I just punch them in, and here we go. And now I get my handy dandy level, and this is so important. I check it everywhere. And there you go. If it's not level, when you're making your art and you're done your art, it will pull off to one side. So level is so important. I can't even tell you. I have been lucky. I have not had any of my paintings dry with half the paint on the table, because I am particular about the leveling. And I check my paintings probably twice to make sure that it's not dripping from one side more than the other. And I, with a popsicle stick, go behind the whole painting to make sure there's no drips, because that will just pull the paint off. So here I am. I have all my paints. I'm starting with the Artist Loft Black. And I do 2 parts floetrol, 1 part paint, and then water to the right consistency. And I do the drip test. You put a drop of each paint on a card, and they should all drip at the same rate. So here is my first paint, Liquitex Graphite, the DecoArt Ruby, the gold, the Pebeo Studio Iridescent Gold, which is just so beautiful. I'm not sure why I'm looking at it. Oh, I think I had trouble pronouncing it because it was in 4 different languages and I didn't know what was what. The Amsterdam Titanium White, which is also a great cell maker. And then the Folk Art 14 karat gold. Lots of sumptuous metallics in this. And the Art Minds Rose Gold Metallic. And finally, the Craft Smart Silver. And I've got my black paint, my Artist Loft Black already prepped. So here I am. I have started pouring 4 cups. I did the calculation for this. And I think you take your measurements in inches and then you divide it by 28. And then you get the approximate ounces of paint you will require to finish this painting. Now I think I'm starting there with, I did black, gold, rose gold. And I did another layer in the other 2 cups. And now I'm putting some black. So they're layered differently. 2 cups one, 2 cups another, so that it's not quite as repetitive. And I like to do that because some of the paints interact with the other paint colors differently. So I like to mix it up a bit. And as you can see, I already painted the sides of my deep canvas as well as around the perimeter, just so that if the paint doesn't go right off to the side, there I'm pouring the Pebeo Studio Iridescent Gold. If it doesn't go right off to the side, it's covered. So it's another little step to prevent you from having to work on your sides after you've finished painting. And there I am putting a little more white. But I did notice that there wasn't a lot of white. And that's okay. I think I probably should have warmed up the white and made it a bit more creamy. May have been a little too stark. And there I'm putting some more gold. And that ruby gold looked copper when it's dry. It's funny how when things dry, they're different. But of course, I've yet to varnish this piece, so it'll come back to life. But it just does jump off the canvas with all the metallics. And there I am putting in some black. And personally, I think I had too much paint for this pour because out of the ounces, you're supposed to include your base coat, which a lot of people actually, for a flip cup pour, don't necessarily always put a base coat on, but I did. Oh, doesn't that look yummy? That is the rose gold on top of the DecoArt Ruby. And I'm not sure why I have written black, gold, silver, white. But I guess at some point I did. I said in the video originally that I did that, but the colors just worked so well together. The only thing I wish is I would have used less black. It did darken up the whole canvas, but up against the light wall, which for the most part, a lot of us have gray walls, it just pops and looks so gorgeous. Okay, so I think I am ready to flip. And I've made a little cup of a variety of colors just in case. And this is always the nervous part. But I see I dropped some water there, so I'm going to blow dry it to dry it up a bit. And I'm going to put on my base coat, although it's not as necessary. Some people do and some people don't put a base. And right now I'm wondering if I have enough black. More than likely I'm going to make a little bit more black. And I'm spreading it out with that omelet flipper that you can get on Amazon. I'm trying to get it as even as possible. And that's where the perimeter comes in handy as well, because you know your perimeter is nicely covered. This ensures everything's going to just flow so nicely. But I do think I have quite a bit of paint for the flip cup. And just to even it out, I'm just going to flip it a little bit. Tilt the canvas. And so now I'm thinking, where do I start? And I'm putting one there. I'm going to try to spread them out a bit and alternate the different cups. Sometimes you have to tap the top just to make sure that all the paint comes down. And as I wrote, I don't use silicone because then it's another whole level of cleaning it off before you varnish it. So as of yet, I have not used silicone in any of my paintings. I find there's enough cell creation. And right now I am taking a thumbtack and just breaking the suction by putting a little hole in the top of each cup. And And then you just gently move the cup. And you can also travel, but I spilled so much of the paint when I flip them, and that sometimes happens. And if you can, please do like and subscribe. And that one there, I did travel a little bit more with it. Move the cup gently across the canvas. And that's a lot of paint. Which means a lot will be coming off. If you were to leave all of that paint on it, it would crack because it just couldn't dry properly. I'm taking that the fifth cup, and just spreading some color around. I'm adding some black here just to ensure I have some great flow, and also to ensure I have some of the black in between. The puddles of paint. As I said, I think I've got a little too much paint on there. Now I'm going to torch it to get rid of all the little bubbles, because there will be for sure. But look at the beautiful cells and no silicone. And if you wanted to keep all those cells intact, which was not the look I was actually going for, you would be tilting very slowly. And I think I may try it again with less paint and more negative space, but for this one, my tilting was a little more aggressive. Because I put the black in between the puddles, it's creating like little black rivers, which is what I wanted to have happen. And that little bit of white in the corner. Looks great. I'm glad I had a little bit of white there for some more contrast. And as I said before, this is a 24 by 36, and it's manageable for me. Anything bigger, it does get a little more tricky. very forgiving. You can always add a little bit more where you want it. And you have the torch. Now I'm going from the other side. I know you can't see what I'm doing. And that's where the large jumbo thumbtacks come into play, because you can also use them to hold it without getting your fingers all over the canvas. I didn't take as much paint off because I was going for a kind of like an earth tone granite feel. And I think that's what I accomplished. It's gorgeous. I'm so happy with it. I always have a little pail of water there, and I wipe my hands. As you can see, I don't use gloves. And I just wipe my hands as I go. Making sure my corners are covered. And I'm still checking all my edges and making sure that it's all properly covered. And you can just go around the whole canvas, pick up a little paint that's dripped off, and just touch it up a bit. Even though it was pre-painted anyways, it's always nice to do that. And once I'm satisfied with that, I think I'm pointing out there that there's a lot of lacing and gold, and it really does look like a very wild granite. And you could always take your popsicle stick like I did, or a palette knife, and you can move the paint around a bit. I find this is difficult for me because I just keep playing with it and playing with it and playing with it and don't know when to stop. And you can't see it, but it is there. And I could have used the straw, but sometimes I have more control by just blowing the paint in certain areas where I think it needs it. And I do torch 1 time or 2 times sometimes. With a big canvas like this, I may do it twice after a couple of minutes. I love the lines and the striations throughout it. It's a really gorgeous piece. And at the end of the video, you'll see the dried results. Pre-varnish, but it's really a stunning piece. Here I am torching again. You have to keep it moving or else it will actually burn the paint. And you could see there's still a lot of cell action without any silicone. And the reason I don't like using silicone, as I said before, is it complicates things. You have to wipe it off, and if you don't wipe it all off, your varnish or resin won't adhere properly. And quite frankly, I think you get enough cells just with the paint interactions and the floetrol. So I'm quite happy with the way it looks. And here's a close-up. And they look like little rivers of black and gold and silver. It's quite lovely. Would love if you could subscribe and like this, and please do feel free to comment. There's the lacing I was talking about. It really is a gorgeous piece. And I had leftover paint and I made a 10 by 10 mini version of it. Please follow me, and you can also go to my Facebook page, ArtistRibyRita, or Instagram. And here are the dried results. Thanks so much.